All right, folks, it's May 6th, 2025. We are rocking and rolling. We have a rally that I warned about. Folks were very upset for me using the word rally. I might have offended a few people, just like every time I use the word pump. But here we are. All it took was a little message, a little tweet, a little news blip, and we're back up and moving higher. So what we're going to do here in this update is we're going to be talking about XRP Escrow Clarity. I'm going to get to that at the end of this episode, but I'll give you a sneak peek. What we're talking about is the market structure bill, which is going to be basically a rebranded version of the FIT21 bill. We hone in on the actual text of this bill, and it starts to give us clarity on when a digital asset is truly decentralized, when it is centralized, and I guess inherently a security. So it's going to be very interesting to go through this at the end of the episode, but there's a lot to get caught up on. And like I said, you know, folks were mad at me for this morning's video. I said XRP rally coming. And in the very first 20 seconds of my video, I made it very clear what my target was, what I considered to be a rally, which was a rally above $3 by the end of May. Now, it's funny because some folks are mad that we use the word rally. Some folks are mad that we say it's only going to $3. Some folks are mad that I guess they didn't buy the dip that we were prepared for and that we did end up buying. That was the dip that came in here leading up into the Fed's meeting that takes place tomorrow. We warned about it. We expected it. It came. Our orders were filled and it is passed. And so it's like you get into this situation where folks get really overly emotionally invested in especially XRP. And so I try to provide clarity. And it's like folks want the hype telling them that it's going to go to 10,000 tomorrow. But then they also want to, you know, bag on us for only saying that it's going to $3, you know, but then they're also mad when we call the pullback. It's like, no matter what you do, you can't win. But we're focused on winning on the P&L. That's the profit and loss statement. And that's what we're looking at when it comes to our portfolios. Folks are mad that I said we were catching pumps in the middle of the chaos over the weekend. I dropped a couple of videos talking about some of our meme coin plays, other utility coins based in America like Zebec. And I say, hey, we're catching pumps. People come into the comments, what pump are you talking about? And they're thinking that I'm talking about the XRP pump. And it's like, guys, there's a few other assets out here. Sometimes we can go catch those pumps on other assets. And once again, I'm just here to explain what I'm doing, how I see it, and it's up to you to make your own decisions. I'm not here to give anybody financial advice. As far as giving a signal, I like to alert you of what I see coming. And what we saw coming was a negative Q1 GDP report on April 30th. That was delivered. Market came back down right into my purple box. See, you know, this, I never did take art. I had to take one or the other, right? Art, band, or choir. And I did end up taking band. I did play trombone. And I'll let you guys make jokes about that. I was not into art, okay? But now I like to play around with my doofus more on technical analysis, which is a dumbed down version of my art these days. And I like to keep it very simple, right? When I know an event is coming up, like the negative Q1 GDP report on April 30th, I mark it on my calendar. When I know that the Fed's going to come out tomorrow and probably not drop rates, the market's not going to like it, and the market's going to be coming down into that. That's exactly what came through. And not only did we call it, we actually filled our orders, and that's what I did on that XRP futures contract that I'd been talking about over the past week or so. And it's just the beautiful thing that happened here because yesterday I was actually in a hangout call with my Discord group. And we hung out. It was middle of the day. We hung out for a couple, two and a half hours. And I was talking about this trade setup and how we came down to 213.9. So I was 1 cent away from my order closing because I had my order waiting at 213 and the Coinbase futures contract came right down to 213.9. And I was in the Discord call yesterday talking with them, and I said, you know, guys, I barely missed this one, but I'm not going to go chase this. I said, I'm not going to go, you know, ape into this position now. I'm just going to leave my order sitting because I think we still have some downward action here into the Fed meeting. Sure enough, while I'm sleeping, that order gets filled this morning. And that dip actually went all the way down to like the $2.05 or something on the Coinbase futures, while the spot market went down to about 207, 208. And funny enough, somebody had asked me in the Discord group yesterday about, where to place the next buy order. And I said, obviously can't tell you what to do, but if it was me, I'd be setting it right at about the 207, 208, because I noted how we'd already pulled back to 204 and 205 a couple times. And so I said, you need to front run everybody else that's going to be placing orders at $2, because this is what new people do. And it's very, just a common mistake really, is to set an order on a rounded off number like $2. And your order's not going to get filled because the sophisticated investors are going to front run you right at 201, 202, 203. And we already knew that we had support at 204 last time we went down to this level. So I actually mentioned, I'd probably put one right below $2.10. And sure enough, we went right on down to 207, 208. So folks are mad when we call the pullback. Folks are mad when we call the relief rally. We're just going to keep on putting money in the bank account, or in this case, some of these instances with, trading XRP memes, putting more XRP in the wallet. Because that's why I trade the memes, to make more XRP. We trade some of these other positions to make more XRP too. But at the end of the day, I'm going to give you the analysis, whether it's going up, whether it's going down. When I'm hyped and I'm excited, I'm going to be hyped and excited. Somebody asked, how many times are we going to hear you say rally? And I said, every time I think a rally's coming. And we really need to be clear about what I'm defining as a rally and what you may be defining as a rally. I know that you want a rally to $589, and I do too. I pray for that every day. But in the context that I shared right in the first 20 seconds of a video, hey, $3 by the end of the month, that's the definition of the rally that I see incoming. So that's where I'm at. And folks are upset at me too, because I called for a $7 to $10 XRP by the end of March and April. I was wrong. The April's tariffs came in, Liberation Day, and we got smacked up. That happens. It's okay. I'm definitely willing to admit when we're wrong. But the one thing that I'm not going to do is shy away and get scared of providing price forecasts and analysis. Once again, I'm not going to give you financial advice, tell you what to buy or when to buy, or what to sell and when to sell. Not going to do that. But I am going to tell you what I do see coming, because I'm not CNBC that's going to read off a teleprompter and just sit here and have a lame conversation that doesn't allow us to actually get in the game and stay in the game, locked in over our targets. And so that's what you guys are here for. At least I hope so, because we're not going to stop. We're not going to shy away. And, we're going to win more than we lose now that our analysis is so dialed in. With that being said, I want to get right on into it. I appreciate you guys for stopping by. Hopefully you appreciate what we're doing. If you do, you know how to support us. No sponsors, so we smash it, we tap it, we share it out far and wide. All of our other resources linked up in the description and available at ZachRector.com. I just got a shipment in from the Thai project, Tyler, huge shout out to him, XRP family, XRP the Better Bitcoin, dog tags, just restocked, we're good to go. We got more merch on the way, and that's how we get supported by you guys. Couldn't do it without you. God bless all of you guys. Let's rock and roll right on into the markets. Here's my purple box. We saw it. It came. And real quickly, before we go in there, I did see one super chat came in. So before we get too further along, I want to address that. Zeus, Fox Knight, thank you for the 5 spot. Big one. Not financial advice. However, should we go in 10 million ZBCN? It's all relative to size, right? It's like asking, should I throw 5,000 or 10,000 at XRP right now? Well, it's all relative to your, the size of position that you're willing to take based off of your risk tolerance. For me, I still think that Zebec's going to double up. So if you have an investment opportunity that's going to double up, I mean, you're going to throw as much as you can reasonably at that, right? Now we have other opportunities that I think do better from this level that Zebec's at right now. But are you too late on Zebec? I don't think you're too late to double it up and maybe even do a little bit better. One thing to consider, though, is that from a market cap perspective, Zebec is already, has gone into price discovery. So from a price standpoint, we haven't gone back to the previous all-time high. But from a market cap standpoint, it is in price discovery. And a part of that is how many tokens are now coming into circulating supply. Something to understand there when it comes to actually using market cap analysis properly. And so in the case of Zebec, many people confused thinking that it was just another meme coin. And I can't blame you because I have been mentioning some meme coins lately. This isn't a meme show. This isn't a degen platform, but from time to time, I do step into the casino and I try to make some more XRP. I got cleaned up on a coin today. I'll tell you guys that right now. I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong, and I am going to tell you guys that yes, I do take losses as well. I talked about catching some pumps over the weekend. Well, I caught a nice little, essentially a rug pull today. So I'm not going to mention the ticker, but we got smacked up on that one, and that happens. I laughed. I was actually on a TikTok live show when it happened, and I laughed. And I have nobody to blame but myself because I stepped into the casino. And as I always said, as we learned from the casinos, know your limit and play within it. Same thing applies to Zebec. Same thing applies to XRP. Some folks overinvested in XRP and then they get behind on other aspects of their life because they literally are maxing out credit cards, etc., to go into XRP. So should you go 10 million in on Zebec? I can't tell you yes or no. I can just say that I still think that Zebec doubles up from this price level. That's where I'm at on Zebec. And I did drop my fundamental deep dive if you want the full analysis breakdown on Zebec. It's not a meme coin at all, actually. Many people, I think, were confused that Zebec was a meme. It's not a meme. It has real utility, and I'll be talking about that utility later. I actually have a clip teed up from Brad Garlinghouse explaining the utility that Zebec is addressing, funny enough. Right back into the charts, though, like I said, purple box, we drew it on April 26th. We nailed it 1, 2, and 3 times, all the way down here to 207, 208 on Qcoin, on Coinbase, and most major platforms. Like I said, I am trading the futures contract, which is this one. I'm going to show you. We're going to remove the moon phases there, and you're going to see that it did go all the way down to 203. So I missed the bottom of this by 10 cents. Did I nail it perfectly? No, absolutely not. Don't need to, because we were able to scoop up the position, and just like that, we're already back up to 217.5. This futures contract was already trading at a premium up to 219 just about an hour ago. But I go back to the spot market, and you'll see it just played out perfectly once again. And I'm going to turn back on my moon phase to show you. That's also part of our analysis. We knew that it was going to be topping out right around that new moon that we just got. Should be rallying before we reach the full moon, and that's the second vertical line right here, May 12th. And that's a correlation that we've tracked going back to December. I'm not telling you to believe in the stars, moons, or anything else. I'm just showing you another way to look at this situation from a technical standpoint. And it looks like the bottom has, probably come in for XRP, barring any other major black swan event. Okay. And so we scooped that dip. I hope you guys did as well. And this is why, somebody'd asked me, and I said, don't get too greedy down at 204, $2, because we already hit this level right here 1, 2, 3 times at 203, 204. So don't get greedy waiting for $2 when we already got support right here. Sure enough, it got bought up at 208. Bitcoin already popped back up to 97,000. I'll remove the moon phase indicator on this. I'm not seeing the correlation, or at least I haven't been paying attention as it relates to Bitcoin. But we did see a Bitcoin back above 97,600. And this is on the news that Scott Bessent is going to be going to speak with China. And, I think that basically the market's already digested the fact that the Fed's not going to raise interest rates tomorrow, but we have the Fed decision coming at 2 p.m. Eastern from the Fed. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Do you think that rates get left unchanged? Do you think that they cut rates? I wouldn't imagine that anybody thinks they're going to raise rates, but that would be pretty savage of Powell after Trump's been calling him out, saying that he's late to lowering them. If Powell sticks it to him and says, no, we're actually going to raise rates. I don't see that there's really any chance of that, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Here's President Trump on the big announcement on the way. Take a listen.
And those days are over. Those days are over. And, I said before in our meeting with the new and very talented Prime Minister of Canada that we have some very big announcement to make. It's not about trade. It's about something else, but it's going to be a truly earth-shattering and positive development for this country and for the people of this country. And that'll take place sometime within the next few days.
And it's almost like they kind of readied themselves for this week. Scott Bessent went and testified in front of a congressional committee today, and they asked him point blank, "Have you been in discussions with China?" And he actually admitted no. But then right after that, here we go. The S&P 500 futures surge over 1% on news. The U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent will meet with China's lead economic official this week. So there's all this back and forth. Trump administration says it's going to be fine. We're having conversation. It's going good. Don't worry about it. China says they're full of crap. We haven't had any negotiations, which apparently was the truth. But you have to remember, this is a matter of national security. This is a matter of art of the deal. This is not you get to hear what you want to hear, when you want to hear it. This is we have to play tough. And when it's time to go into strike, that's when we're going to do it. And so we have the news coming out here today. But like I said, it seems like it was perfectly timed. Scott Bessent comes on this morning, admits that they haven't been in any talks, but then that gets followed up later here today. Bessent will meet with China's lead economic official this week. Now, you follow that up with Trump's statement that we're going to have earth-shattering development announced this week. Big deal that doesn't have anything to do with trade. It's like Trump and the team was saving this one in their pocket for this week when they knew that the Fed was going to be coming. The Fed wasn't going to deliver a rate cut. And so the markets were going to want to hear something. And sure enough, it's no longer just, oh, trust us, we're in talks with China. No, we officially got it scheduled. Lead economic official going to be meeting with Bessent this week. And Trump follows that up with an announcement that's coming, earth-shattering, that's not even related to trade. And this is where I'd said we start to rally here because I'm about to show you liquidity's already coming in from the Fed and plenty of liquidity in the money market funds. Peace deals get announced, trade deals get announced, and the market's going to start to price in the Fed rate cuts. So in anticipation of that next Fed meeting coming up in June and another one coming up in July, this market's going to start to rally. That's what we're seeing right now. To reiterate, China's Commerce Ministry says reports that China plans to engage with the U.S. on trade are true. China adds that talks must be equitable and mutually beneficial. So confirming that it has happened. U.S. and U.K. expected to sign new trade agreement this week. It's almost like, some of these negotiating tactics are working. Whether or not we understand all of them in the play-by-play, and that we obviously have to see the talking head pundits spin in circles trying to figure out, they got their tariff calculator out. Oh my goodness, how did he calculate these tariffs? The deals are getting done while these guys are trying to play around with their calculator. That's what's happening. Talking head pundits trying to stay relevant. That's what's happening. Backstop of liquidity already here. And this is why I said higher. This is Rick Santelli, CNBC, highlighting what we put out yesterday and today that the Fed bought a total of $34.8 billion worth of bonds at the bond auctions over the past 2 days. Take a listen.
Yesterday, the Fed bought $20 billion of the $58 billion 3-year notes. Today, they bought $14.8 billion of the $42 billion of 10-year notes. If you do the math, each case, it's about 35%. So we're going to see that Fed balance sheet start to grow again. And remember, every Thursday afternoon, we get to see the size. We'll pay particularly close attention this Thursday. And finally,
so Thursday, we get to see the Fed balance sheet. This is actually not even included in QE, yet. And this is happening right now already. And I've been talking about this for a while because I said, who the heck wants to buy these bonds? Who wants to do a deal with the devil? Or in this case, the United States government. Hard to tell the difference between the two, right? You have the Fed here buying $14.8 billion worth of 10-year bonds today on top of the $20 billion that they bought yesterday. So this is before they make that money printer go burr. They're already providing a backstop. And if you recall, if you've been with me here for a while, when did the market bottom out last year? August 6, 2024. What happened? Japan carry trade started to unwind. Do you remember what we noted at that time? The Fed came in with a $50 billion backstop which, I mean, currently we're at 34.8 billion in the past 2 days. So we're nearly at the level that we had to come into when the Japan carry trade unwind started in August of last year. The Fed's coming in with liquidity backstops, just like they provided the backstops for the bank in 2023 when they started to collapse. They came in with the Bank Term Funding Program. They came in with a couple other additional programs that were additional backstops. So there's other ways that they can backstop, prop up, and inflate or devalue our dollar. And this is another one of them. Nobody wants to buy this crap, so the Fed has to show up and be a buyer of last resort at these treasury auctions. Now, this leads us into the CFTC putting out a very interesting note here today. They are going to be putting some of their staff on leave pending investigation into potential law violations, government ethics requirements, and professional rules of conduct. I'll tell you one thing that I wish that they would look at, which is silver manipulation, along with the manipulation of other commodities too. I mean, gold has finally been set free, but we know how heavy silver is being manipulated right now. I wanted to show you a quick look at gold, which did rally back above 3,400 yesterday. Futures market is open right now, and we're just below that level. Gold has been on just an absolute tear over the past few years. I mean, this thing's been incredible. If I go to the 3-year chart on this thing, I mean, it's just a thing of beauty right there. And so the manipulation couldn't keep gold down any longer. That broke through. But we still have big manipulation of silver and other commodity markets. We saw the nickel deal happen a couple years ago, if you guys recall that one. And so it's very fascinating that we see the CFTC putting out this notice that a bunch of their staff are going to be putting on leave while they do internal investigations, or maybe it's third-party investigations, government oversight. And we saw what just happened with the Hinman report and the Office of Inspector General report on Hinman. That was a big nothing burger. Will this be a big nothing burger, or are we actually going to start to get some accountability? I'd love to see it, but I'm not going to be holding my breath. But the good news is that it's all being exposed, and the people are doing what they can to get as much as their funny fiat money into these precious metals, into our, suppressed crypto assets with real utility. We're stacking up as much of it as possible, and eventually we will break through that manipulation. It already happened for XRP. It's going to happen for silver too. Now, gold rallying on the news that war continuing to escalate in India and Pakistan. Here's the official statement from India today after they launched missile attacks into Pakistan. Indian armed forces launched Operation Sindoor, hitting terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, from where terrorist attacks against India have been planned and directed. Altogether, 9 sites have been targeted, so this was a strategic military operation, strategic targeted attacks. Our actions have been focused, measured, and non-escalatory in nature. No Pakistani military facilities have been targeted. India has demonstrated considerable restraint in selection of targets and method of execution. These steps come in the wake of the barbaric Pahalgam terrorist attack in which 25 Indians and 1 Nepali citizen were murdered. We are living up to the commitment that those responsible for this attack will be held accountable. Pakistan was able to shoot down a couple fighter jets, apparently. So a tit for tat, 2 nuclear powers. We are going to continue to pray for peace with President Trump and his administration on their way to the Middle East. What is that, next week? This gets very interesting. Region's very hot right now. And so we're going to see if maybe we got a peace deal coming up. Maybe that's the big earth-shattering announcement that President Trump has, would be a peace deal in the Middle East. Maybe one between Ukraine and Russia. Maybe it has nothing to do on as far as a peace deal. But it's going to be interesting to watch how this one develops from here. Any spark can really send things off as far as, triggering oil prices higher, as far as spooking the markets. But it goes to show you, and this is really sad to consider, that the markets are so numb to all this war that these war events, it did pop up gold temporarily. It didn't really send down the markets, and the markets are just looking for, the trade deal with China to get done. And so we got the news that they're going to be meeting Scott Bessent, the top economic official from China, and there goes those markets. So those markets are just numb to the war. I've already said that they're desensitized to the tariff talk. And so now you're starting to see, now's when we start moving higher. Okay. Now, moving on into crypto. Before I get there, let me check our chat. I really do appreciate you guys for stopping by. If everybody please could like this stream, I would greatly appreciate you. Thank you. I got another 5 spot from Vegetto Black. Thanks for telling me about ZBCN, man. Where do you see XDC and XLM come ICO timeframe? I don't know what ICO timeframe is. Initial coin offering timeframe. Maybe you're talking about IPO. I don't know. But as far as XDC and XLM, I've dropped my targets for XLM and I've shared my targets for XDC publicly. I think the XDC is a runner to about 40 to 50 cents this bull run, maybe a little bit more. And I think that Stellar is going to run to a couple bucks. $2 to $3 is the upside that I see for Stellar this bull run. Would be thrilled to see more, but I'm just hanging my hat on a conservative rally to about $2 for Stellar. That's double its previous all-time high. Okay? Now, continuing on, we're going to go right on into crypto here. And speaking of Zebec, Zebec cards now support 12 chains, the most of any crypto card provider. We're excited to add Polygon plus USDC on Polygon to silver and carbon cards. So it's interesting because USDC is already live on Zebec and Ripple still eyeing Circle, right? I'm interested to see if we end up closing that deal this month. That could be another bullish catalyst for XRP. But the fact that they've now added USDC on Polygon and Polygon to bring their total to over a dozen chains that this card platform now supports is a massive deal. The most of any crypto card provider, and I haven't fact checked them on that, but I haven't seen anybody else that's offering a dozen different chains, the ability to spend your crypto on that card. And so they have a few different products. This is one of their main utilities, with the other one being the payroll. And I'm going to play a clip here from Brad Garlinghouse explaining the real use case and problem that Zebec is addressing in the solution that their technology provides. This is Brad Garlinghouse speaking on payments and payroll.
Here in Singapore, I believe you get paid once a month. In the United States, you get paid once every 2 weeks. Has everybody thought about why you get paid once a month or once every 2 weeks? It comes down to the friction of payments. And if we can remove the friction of payments, why can't you get paid every day? Or even more crazily, why don't you get paid every hour or every second? You could have a stream of value showing up in your whatever repository of value. Now, why you need to get paid every second, I'm not sure. But I do think there's a lot of dynamics that have been built around getting paid every 2 weeks or getting paid every month. And as we remove the friction of payments and make that dramatically easier, I think you're going to see secondary and tertiary effects that are very difficult to predict, just like we couldn't have predicted Grab 20 years ago. Here in Singapore,
Yeah, and what's interesting to me is seeing whether or not we get some sort of Zebec Ripple partnership. I got to mention too that Ripple is definitely in a position to acquire a company like Zebec. That could be interesting. I mean, we've seen them. That was the acquisition of Medico. What they wanted with Medico was the software, the technology. And so similarly, could we see an acquisition of Zebec so that they could get that payroll solution? Or maybe Ripple could end up, addressing that with their own technology as well too. But right now we've seen that Zebec is really in the lead when it comes to addressing this problem, making acquisitions within the space and already providing their services hundreds of millions of dollars in payroll and over 200 plus corporate clients that we're seeing with Zebec. So like I said earlier, Zebec's not a meme coin. I know we've been talking about some meme coins here and there, and so I think some folks might have got confused. Let's be very clear. This is a real utility. Just like you heard Brad Garlinghouse explain the problem, Zebec has the solution. On top of that utility for payroll, they've also got the Zebec cards that are rocking and rolling, the most cryptocurrencies enabled into a card of anybody. So that's why I picked up a bag on top of the fact that they're based in America. There's more to the story too, but I mean, it's already up over 100%. We've doubled up, and I'm expecting quite a bit more on Zebec too. So keep your eyes on that one. And if you want to check out my deep dive on Zebec, that's in my 2025 coin review playlist. Now, I see a couple more super chats came in, so let's catch up on those. Boone, thank you for the 10 spot. Thanks, Zach. I'm a true believer. You are the man. Boone, I appreciate you, my friend. God bless you. KG, thank you. Subscribe to Ab's new channel. Good evening, crypto. Uh-oh, is Abs about to take my evening spot? Abs, I'm going to come for you, Abs. Is Abs coming for the evening spot? I got mine staggered nice with Jake. I know Jake does Monday, Wednesday. I do Tuesday, Thursday. That's been nice. I know that folks, I like to tune into Jake too. And I like my Tuesday, Thursday slot. But am I going to have to go at Abs? Maybe I'll arm wrestle him in Vegas. I don't know. He's got a little something there, you know? We'll see. Might have a little bit more leverage on him, huh? Little arm wrestling match to see who gets the Tuesday, Thursday slot. No, it's all love. And I'm going to be on Good Morning Crypto on May 16th, 17th. Coming up here. Coming up here in about, what is that, 2 weeks? A week and a half. I'll be on Good Morning Crypto. I don't know about Good Evening Crypto, but shout out to Abs. Big fan of their platform. Big fan. Now, here we go. Here we go. Check it out. Into the Block and Trident merge with $25 million backing to build institutional DeFi gateway. This is another investment that Ripple has just made very quietly. The newly formed Centera aims to offer a compliant DeFi platform for sophisticated investors looking for yield, liquidity, and risk management. You know, what's interesting about this is the fact that Ripple just acquired Hidden Road, which is a prime broker offering very similar services, but Ripple still made this investment as well too. So it's like, I really feel like Ripple likes to, you know, just plant these seeds and then see if they blossom. And then if they do, then they just come take it. They're like, oh, good job. You know, good job, little one, you made it. And then they come buy it up, right? Ripple's just in such a great position to be able to do this. They, you know, make an acquisition for $1.25 billion, and yet they're part of this $25 million raise. I don't know how much they invested, whether it be a few million, 5 million, 10 million, but this is on the back of Ripple actually donating $25 million to teachers this week as well. Do we have any teachers in the chat? God bless you. God bless the good teachers. Because the good teachers are worth every dollar and then some. They probably aren't paid enough for the good teachers. We got some that are living on the living on the trough there. But we do got some great teachers, and God bless them. We need more. Absolutely. And so Ripple spends $1.25 billion acquiring Hidden Road, spends $25 million for the teachers, paid in RLUSD. I like that. No sell pressure on XRP, no giving away XRP. RLUSD delivered to the teachers. We like that a lot. Why? Because it's a good cause, but it also brings more awareness, more attention. Ripple knows how to market better than anybody in this space. You better believe that. How do you get the most organic community marketing without having to pay a dime? Well, you build something real with solving real problems, real utility, and a technology that can level the playing field. A lot of people are going to sell that product for you, myself included, right? And what you're seeing here is another investment from Ripple that aims to, bring DeFi to the traditional financial space. We'll be watching this one closely. I never had heard of this company, but this merger comes in, and the new venture is also on track to raise $25 million from investors, including New Form Capital, Ripple, and Tribe Capital, to provide tools helping to bring institutional investors to DeFi. The final point that I want to make on this is that it allows for the integration of XRP and RLUSD. Especially for DeFi, RLUSD is perfect. So this is just, Ripple keeps that door open, right? They see some action happening over here. It's like Circle. Oh, Circle, look at what Circle grew up into a nice little cute company. Let's go acquire it for $5 billion, right? Same thing taking place here. And it allows them to keep that door open, and it allows them to provide their solution that they now have, RLUSD, on top of everything else that they've done with XRP. Now, speaking of their work and who they've partnered up with, here we have the European Central Bank plans to partner with private sector to develop a digital euro. In a press release, the ECB claimed that findings will be shared in a report later this year. Well, our good friend Brad Kimes says happy Tuesday and you might want to lock in, because who has been partnered up with Ripple for years? That would be the Digital Euro Association, partnered up all the way back here to 2022. This goes way back. Ripple's partnered up with so many central banks, we forgot all of them. They've partnered up with so many other institutions, you can't keep track, right? And then you look at some of their other partners and who they're partnered up with, right? It's like, and I found this so fascinating over the past few years. It's like all these Ripple partners, they're also making acquisitions, making strides, talking about how their, businesses are growing too. It's like, Ripple has the Midas touch. Whatever they touch turns to gold. And obviously a couple of things have gone south. You don't win in all of these, but they've done a really good job with their acquisitions, and they've done a good job of getting their foot in the door with these central bankers. And this is where that private ledger comes in. And I've seen a lot of confusion coming about this private ledger, and it's all stemmed from TikTok recently. You guys know I like TikTok. TikTok has a special place in my heart because it put me on the map. Okay, so I like TikTok. TikTok's listening to me right now. I like TikTok. Let's be clear. I don't want to get in trouble. But the problem with TikTok isn't the platform. It's some of the people that yap, and in this case, make up stories about private ledgers and, confusing private ledgers with dark pools, which are more commonly known as OTC, very normal exchanges for institutional and big money to trade assets. Very normal. But I would know just as good as anybody how to make some viral TikToks. What you do is you get yourself a little worked up because you want to make it look like you're about to shed a little tear. You put on some dramatic music in the background, and then you make up some crazy story about how Ripple's evil. They've put everything on the private ledgers. They've put everything into dark pools. You confuse the two issues, but it doesn't matter because, you don't even know what you're talking about. You're just trying to get attention. You're just trying to cause FUD. And we've seen some people, I call them the full-time FUDsters, that have made a living, a very small living because not many people pay attention to them, but they do garner some attention, FUDding XRP. That's how they make their little piece of the action, FUDding XRP. But usually that dies out, and really we shut all of them up with the price action. We told and we tried to tell all these guys. We tried to help them out. I did space. People ask me, why don't you go do more spaces with these guys? Well, you can only, pound the wall so many times, right? I mean, eventually, you got to just say, okay, there's nothing up there. We're not making any progress. And the problem is that many of them won't even let you have that opportunity. When we did have the opportunity, we tried to tell these guys what was going to happen. And they didn't believe it until that chart smacked them up. And that's how it had to be. They didn't want to hear it from me. They didn't want to hear it from Brad, from David, from the team at Ripple. They didn't want to hear it from other XRP content creators. We were all just hyping up XRP until XRP in that chart hit them up with the truth, and the truth hurts when we pump 400 or 500% and we still have a tremendous amount of upside left. Boy, were they wrong, and they're about to be even more wrong. What a sad place to be in. And it all comes back to, very simply, just understanding what actually is the private ledger, what actually are dark pools, which I don't like to use the word dark pools because it has a negative connotation. I like to use the term, as it's more commonly referred to, as OTC markets, which is nothing new. Same thing happens with stocks, happens with other cryptos. It's happening with XRP. And in fact, this is how you would want XRP to be distributed by Ripple if you don't want them to impact price negatively, and that's what they've done. Since 2019, they've been selling XRP over the counter to their institutional partners exclusively. And in doing so, they have not destroyed or wrecked the price. Now, you could argue that this sucks because it doesn't make the price go up, but you have to understand how these institutions want to move. These institutions want to buy 1 billion XRP without you knowing. They want to buy 5 billion XRP without you knowing, right? In the same way that they want to operate on a private ledger where they can hide messaging and hide transactions. You know, the best example that I could give you would be a partnership between Ripple and the Treasury. Let's just assume that they have one, and I think that they might be in the works. I think that that would be a match made in heaven, personally. If Ripple were to partner up with the Treasury and Ripple was going to help the Treasury put all of their internal payments on a distributed ledger technology so that they could track it and so that Doge could track it, and we wouldn't have such a problem with all these billions and trillions of dollars running around and we don't know where it's at. What Ripple would do is they would create a private ledger for the Treasury's internal messaging, and then when Treasury wanted to tap into public liquidity on the XRP ledger, they could. All you have to do is hit the big red button, just like David Schwartz describes. You hit the big red button, the walled garden comes down, and you have interoperability with the public ledger. Now, on that same note, David Schwartz was very clear with everybody too that there are not two prices between the private ledger and the public ledger. XRP only exists on the public XRP ledger. XRP anywhere else would be a derivative, an IOU, or a wrapped token. XRP inherently cannot leave. It's physically not possible for it to leave the XRP ledger, public XRP ledger. So whatever XRP is being used on the private ledger is an IOU. It's a derivative. Could they be running tests of XRP at 100,000 on a private ledger? They could, but it would be an IOU. It would be a derivative. It would be a wrapped token. It would be something other than pure XRP, the XRP that me and you own on the public ledger. Now you would say, well, Zach, that's great, but that means, and that kind of proves that they could just go create another token besides XRP. They could, but the benefit of the XRP ledger is the open public pools of liquidity. This all comes back to liquidity. And you don't build out the best liquidity in the world through private networks. You do it through public, open, permissionless ones that everybody can contribute to. And that's what the benefit of XRP is. And you do not have two separate prices. And you don't need to listen to some of these folks that are just looking for attention. And so they're making up stories about dark pools. They're making up stories about private ledgers. They're making up stories about how they got hacked by Ripple. These people are liars. And I would stay far away. I just had to mention that because I've seen a lot of FUD recently circulating about that for the new people coming in. I know it's a very big concern. A lot of people think that retail is going to get screwed. You're not. You're not. Now, can I guarantee that XRP is going to go to $10,000? I can't guarantee that. But what we do know as a fact is that XRP is actually sold at a discount over the counter. That was disclosed in the SEC versus Ripple documents from the lawsuit. So not only are they not selling it at a higher price or using it at a higher price on the private ledger, they're actually selling it at a discounted price OTC. And I've long made the case that Ripple's being a responsible custodian and distributor of the XRP supply, doing so in a way that doesn't impact price negatively. And eventually they're going to have all of the XRP into the hands of big institutions that are going to be moving trillions of dollars. And this is the end game that we've all hoped for XRP, where trillions of dollars are being moved and settled on the XRP ledger. Not just value tokenized on the ledger, but liquidity and movement of value. That's what drives the price of XRP. Okay? Continuing on. I've been talking about how you're going to have your options between XRP DeFi, centralized institutions coming to offer you, hey, give me your XRP, we'll give you yield. We're seeing all sorts of folks show up trying to get your XRP right now. Now's the time to develop yourself a checklist. I'm going to help you do so as we go through conducting due diligence on all of these platforms. The most recent one here, I saw this today, is Strobe Protocol. Built on the XRP ledger, powered by the new XRP ledger EVM sidechain and Axelar. Strobe will turn idle XRP into yield-generating, permissionless DeFi, ready to put your assets to work. Early access waitlist now live. Now, what I find hilarious about all of these platforms is they're all willing to take your XRP before they tell you how they generate yield. You know, it's like, hey, don't worry about how we're going to generate yield for you. Don't worry about where we're going to store your crypto. Don't worry about how much the yield's going to be. Just give us your XRP, get on the wait list, man, and we'll figure it out later. Trust me, bro. If you can't tell how well this goes over with me, it doesn't go over well. This is not a deal that I take serious. Any of these platforms that come and try to take your XRP before they've laid out how they're going to generate the yield should be laughed out of the room respectfully, or maybe disrespectfully, because honestly, it's ridiculous. To me, it's disrespectful to ask me for my XRP and offer me yield on my XRP without telling me how it's going to be generated. And so, one, we need to make sure that our XRP is secure. Two, we want to make sure that the yield is worth the risk. We want to make sure that the reward is worth the risk. And we want to make sure that it's going to be sustainable. If the platform is taking your XRP to give you 3 or 4%, because all they're doing is taking your XRP, taking a loan against it, and putting it into treasury bills, that's not a real program, right? You might as well just go buy treasury bonds directly from the government instead of taking on the counterparty risk with your XRP, right? If I want to earn 3 or 4%, I can go put ROUSD on Uphold and make that right now. I don't need to give anybody my XRP. Now, the attraction is we want to put our XRP to work because we already have that asset, right? You're telling me, Zach, I don't have more money. I have XRP. I want to put it to work. Don't be so quick and in a rush to earn 5 or 10% on your XRP when we're probably still going to see this sucker 5 or 10x over the next year, if not more. Run the math, right? And just be careful out here, because we've already seen that tens of millions of XRP have gone into the hands of these platforms, and we're watching right now, they're spitting out returns of 3 and 4%. I mean, you're running in quicksand with inflation running at 3 and 4% per the CPI lie. We double, we round up, and on a lot of this stuff, the compounded aggregate inflation's 100%. You know, so I just wanted to show you guys that we have all sorts of new platforms coming, and there's going to be even more because programmability is coming to the XRP ledger. Now, the world is about to be ours. He who has the gold makes the rules, as long as you know what you have, as long as you know what you hold, and you don't give it up willy-nilly to the first Joe Blow that comes by and says they're going to give you 5%. This is Mayuka, excited to share Ripple X has their extensibility team's proposed vision for XRP ledger programmability. Now, this post is actually from February, but Ripple held an XRP community space today where they dived more into this. And what they talked about today was the programmability for smart escrows and a few other additional programmability things too. Okay, so here's the space that they held earlier today. You guys can go back and listen to that if you want to. It's really kind of focused on the tech, but they do kind of dumb it down for Joe Blows like me that need it dumbed down and spelt out and need my handheld to understand the tech. They did a really good job of presenting it. I listened to the first half of this space. I didn't catch the second half, but the conclusion that I came away from listening to the first 30 minutes, and as we've been kind of watching this programmability expand, is that we're going to have basically full functionality for all DeFi functions and purposes that you would want for any ledger. It's going to be here on the XRP ledger layer 1. Now, it's really cool that you combine that with the EVM, you combine that with Zahao, you combine that with Corium, you combine that with Flare, and I'm telling you, the world is about to be ours because everybody's going to be sitting across the table from us. Flare, Corium, Zahao, EVM sidechain, Stro protocol, Doppler Finance, White Rock, others. I mean, you guys can name others that are showing up too. And you're about to see a whole new wave of them coming in. What I'm excited about, though, is for our developers, they're going to be able to start to generate revenue in a meaningful way so that we can have builders that are sustainable without funding from Ripple. That's very important. We really need that in the XRP ecosystem. The best incentive is no incentive, but the problem is we have a lot of good developers who can't figure out how to get paid. And a lot of them, they're not business first. They don't know how to market. I would say this respectfully to any project on the XRP ledger that's listening to me today. None of you get a AAA gold star on your marketing from me. Now, there are some of you guys that are marketing all right. You know, there's some projects on the XRP ledger that are doing a fair job. They're present. They're showing up every day. I mean, one of the best examples I could give you would be the XRP Cafe team. XRP Cafe, that was the NFT platform. Then they built First Ledger, that's the meme coin platform. And now they're building the Joey wallet, but they're showing up every single day. Vet is hosting spaces. Chris, he's hosting spaces and hanging out with the DGens. And then I've also seen Adam. I got to meet Adam at XRP Las Vegas last year. That's a good example. And even they're like, I mean, do they get a AAA rating gold star? I think they could do a little bit more. You know, but they're doing a lot better than others, right? And they've already created platforms where they can make money, right? On the First Ledger platform, they charge you a 1% trading fee for every trade. And people are happy to do so, happy to pay that fee because the speed and efficiency of the First Ledger platform. We need more of that. We need more. I've talked to other developers on the XRP ledger, and a lot of them are doing stuff for free, which is great. But eventually we have to create a model that allows these builders to get paid out. And I've told them, as long as you're transparent, as long as you explain to people what you're going to be charging for, people are happy to pay for it. And there's a lot of money in our ecosystem. It's just the capital that's within our ecosystem is capital that's very hard to sell. Meaning you need better marketing. You need clear, simple sales pitches. You don't need to be selling technical jargon to basically, you know, boomers and people like myself too that hold big bags of XRP, right? We need it simplified. We need it easy to understand, and we're going to be happy to throw money behind it. I had a conversation with this exact conversation with Adam from the team at First Ledger. We talked about this in Vegas last year. And I said, Adam, we were at the after party at the pool, XRP Vegas vibes. I cannot wait. 1 month ago, less than a month ago, till we're in Vegas again. We were at the after party last year. And I was talking with Adam and I said, dude, there's so much money here just sitting around this pool. We got all the money in the world that we need for this ecosystem. It's just that these investors need to see the value. These guys, you know, there's a lot of these guys don't want to invest in meme coins, but they'll invest in platforms, right? You know, and I think that this is going to be very exciting because we're doing a $25,000 grant or giveaway, I guess, at XRP Las Vegas for the best builder idea, something like that. So, for all builders and developers, if you can hear my voice, one, if you want help getting the word out about your project, if you're building real utility, shoot me a email at my website and you can come on my platform for free. I'm not looking to charge anybody. I'm willing to put the spotlight on you, but you have to be bringing real utility. And that's why not many people take me up on that offer because they know that they're not going to pass the sniff test when they come onto my platform. But we have left that door open for everybody, and I would encourage others. I mean, I've already interviewed quite a few builders within our ecosystem, and I'd love to do a lot more. And I'm very excited for the new wave of builders that are coming in right now. With all this programmability and functionality, as I've used the analogy, we were on the construction site, and all we could hand our carpenters was a hammer. We couldn't give them anything else. Couldn't give them a saw. Couldn't give them a square, couldn't give them a pencil. Now we're giving them all. And some tools are more valuable than others. Some amendments that we're adding are like a little pencil. Some, like the AMM, that's another whole big tool that's going to scale up the liquidity within our ecosystem. And you already saw that. And so we have programmability and smart escrows on the way with additional features as well. It is time to be bullish on the XRP Ledger ecosystem. Let me tell you what, because not only is the underlying asset XRP going to be appreciating, but we also have all these other DeFi products that are going to be built out as well too. Now, KG says, just bought some merchandise, Zach, sign it for me. KG, I'll try to do so. I will try to do so. Yeah. I appreciate you for stopping by, man, and I appreciate that. Thank you guys. Yeah, all the merch is available at ZachRector.com, and I just got more dog tags in, and we're gonna do some new dog tags as well too. I got some new designs on the way. I'm in the process of getting our hats in. I had to postpone. My apologies for having to postpone. I know I've been saying that the hats are coming for like weeks. We've been waiting a few weeks for our supply to get in. So as soon as it gets in, we'll be live. I don't want to have it listed on the website. A bunch of orders come in and then we can't fulfill them right away. Okay. And so, yeah, the team's been working around the clock. To stay up to date with those. And then once that supply gets in, we got more hats and a lot of the collections that we have on the way too. Okay. Let me check our super chats, and then we're going to go to the topic of tonight's discussion, which is XRP Escrow Clarity. Okay. Sydney Ganalis, thank you for the 10 spot. The last 10 years have been the craziest back-assward years ever imagined. We are totally watching a very mad movie production. Believe it or not, it's still true. I appreciate that, Sydney. Yeah, because it's crazy. Back in 2012, when I really started to wake up, back then we called ourselves woke before we got this new woke. Back then we called ourselves woke because we were starting to figure out the conspiracy theories, and we were starting to get caught up to speed, and we were waking up. Now they got a whole new definition of what woke is, but the point being, over 10 years ago, I thought so much of this was going to change so much faster. I thought a lot of this was coming a lot faster. But here we are. In many ways, XRP's kind of been the same thing, and I was actually thinking of this the other day too. You got a lot of people that are treating the XRP like an annual. And I was thinking of this in the gardening analogy. For those of you guys that know the basics of gardening, you have annuals and you have perennials. Okay, annuals die off and you need to replace them, right? They only last one season, so they're called annual, 1 year. Perennials, they produce again and again and again. They don't go away. As long as you keep that sucker alive, keep watering it, keep some good fertilizer in there, you're good. It keeps coming back. But the problem is that you have a lot of people treating XRP like an annual. They treat it like a short-term trade. Let me get in, let me get out, let me make a little quick baggie here, when really it should be treated like a perennial. You guys are chopping that thing down, selling off your entire bag. If you didn't chop it down, it's going to keep growing bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's going to get stronger and stronger. And that will be reflected on the price chart. I'm directly talking about price. In fact, every time that bush goes dormant, those roots are growing. And then the next year, the next spring, it comes back, and then that foliage grows bigger and bigger. This is how plants expand. And it's the same exact thing with this crypto setup with real utility cryptocurrencies. XRP is the best example. You could talk about other currencies as well, too. Those roots are growing. The foliage continues to expand. And then we got a doofus moron that comes around here with the hedge trimmer and cuts the whole bush down and takes that crop. He says, oh, look at this bouquet of flowers that I got. Well, you cut down the whole tree. You cut down the whole bush instead of just skimming a little and keeping the main bush, giving it a nice trim, letting it come back stronger, more full. I used to do this for a living. And I can't tell you how many how many people used to mostly, well, I'm not going to say this. I used to get some people that would get mad at me because I couldn't identify. I used to laugh at this. I couldn't identify every, there's 5,000 different plants, right? Even more. And people would get so mad if you couldn't identify a plant. And I'd say, I don't know what that plant is, but I can tell you how it gets trimmed. I can tell you when it's time to trim it or not to trim it. I don't know the scientific name, but we can trim your bush, ma'am. And people get so mad at me. I'm like, sorry, But anyways, people are treating XRP like an annual instead of perennial. Water the sucker. Give it some fertilizer and watch it bloom. It's going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's not going to stop. I mean, we're talking about the next 5, 10, 20 years plus. Dennis, thank you for the 2-spot. Grayscale to convert XRP Trust to ETF. Yeah. Is that on the way? Where'd you see that, Dennis? That's great. Yeah, Grayscale. They already filed for that. I think that they're just waiting for approval on rolling their Grayscale XRP Trust into an ETF, right? Yeah, Grayscale coming in, going to get a piece of that action for sure. Cindy Ganellis, thank you for another 2-spot. Bitcoin equals CIA equals Trojan horse beta test coin, 100%. 100%. Yeah. And you heard it from Kevin O'Leary. For those of you guys that saw that viral clip going around, he said that the Bitcoin strategic reserve is not going to happen. It's funny. It's funny how that works. Now, continuing on, I see our good friend Legend showed up. Are we doing another giveaway? Last time was fun. I've got another one left to me. I think this time the Legend from Down Under, Big Stu, will be donating also. It will be Trump like huge. Keep a hundo and give 2 free t-shirts to the next 2 people that order one. Hey, Legend, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you, Legend. Thank you. Thank you, Legend. I did see, what time is it? 8:08? I don't know when you dropped that. Is Zach master of topiaria? Yep. Boy, that was the unlock for me back in the day. I'll never forget those days, man. I'll never forget those days. First couple bush trimming jobs. It's like a whole new world opened up. Make a couple $100 in a couple hours or something like that, You go from cutting yards making, 30, 40, $50 to do a hedge. You make, $400 or $500 in a couple hours. It's like, oh boy, new world just opened up, right? And hedge, golly, I tell you guys, people call, oh, you little lawn boy. Boy, I have no hate against the blue collar. I have more respect for the blue collar now that I don't work in blue collar. Every time I drive by a job site, I have nothing but respect for the men and women that I see on the job sites, because I just think, wow, this is who's really moving us forward, and they don't get enough credit. And it really sickens me that people, look down upon this. And it, not only is it wrong, it's also stupid. You know what I'm saying? I've met some people that make a killing in the services. Whether it be, you could call them a pool boy, call them a lawn boy, call them a plumber boy. These crafts are forgotten. And, when it comes to putting money in the bank account, the dirty hands, clean money thing is something to speak of. Is something to speak on for sure. You got a lot of people clowning around here on that, and they have no idea what they're talking about. A lot of these people are going to be begging for a job, but they didn't want to get dirty. As AI replaces them, I'll tell you, AI is a long ways from replacing the plumber. So I have nothing but respect for blue collar. I'll tell you that much. Yeah. Now, let's see. When did you drop that chat? When did you drop that chat, Legend? Legend dropped that chat. I don't know when the timing was, but I got 2 orders here. 2 orders came in right after that. So maybe that was them. Oh, 7048. One of them ordered a shirt, one of them ordered a hat. Huh. That sounds good, Legend. I'll tell you what, guys. 7048. You ordered a monkey shirt. Who was that? Who was that? Bradford? Bradford O'Neill? Is that Bradford? Is that Bradford? I know a Bradford in the XRP community. He shows up to Vegas every year. And I'm pretty sure it's Bradford. He's got the suits with the suit liner, and he's got this XRP suits. When you look on the inside, they're lined with XRP. They're absolutely just awesome. I don't know if that was you, Bradford, but Bradford, I'm going to send you this shirt for free. We'll send you an extra shirt, 7048. And then the next person that orders from the website too, we'll send you another free shirt as well too. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You're the man, Legend. Thank you. Now, it's so Legend says Stu's gonna be coming in. It will be Trump like huge. 2 people. Yep. Thank you, Legend. I appreciate that. I'll keep you posted. I'm gonna be watching because we're gonna figure out some fun things. I'm just gonna leave it at that. We're gonna figure out some fun things. Okay. We're going to do some fun stuff. But God bless you, brother. I'm Screw. Thank you for the 2 spot. Will XRP pass $250 or maybe even $20 by May 19th? What do you got to, you got a bill to pay on May 19th? What's May 19th got to do with it? Thank you for the super chat. I think that we're going to $3 by the end of May. Yeah. So I'll respond with that answer. I think $3 by the end of May. Stu, what did you just drop up in here? Stu, what is this? What is that massive 319 Aussie bucks? A big 320? Stu, you guys are crazy down there. That's crazy, brother. Second act, thank you for the $30.99. Watching from Australia, thanks for the much needed reassurance on XRP. Hey, I'm going to tell you when I see it's pulling back. I'm going to tell you when I think it's going up. The trajectory overall, over the next 5 to 10 years is up, and by, a lot. Up and to the right by a lot. But yeah, I mean, we're going to get these pullbacks. I'm going to try to warn you guys about them because I think it's a great opportunity to add to your positions. If you need to. For me, I went in on my XRP futures. That's how I bought the dip. Did anybody else buy the dip today? Did you guys get in on that? We already have bounced up pretty quickly. Thank you for that. Tony, that's a big 50 spot, and I really appreciate you for that. All stables pair with XRP using AMMs. People provide liquidity for on-chain swap fees. Swaps go through XRP as common pair to prevent fragmentation, more volume. More fees, more demand to lock in AMMs, more locked, lower supply, self-reinforcing cycle. And this is where it gets exciting, Tony. This is where it gets exciting. Is as more and more of these legitimate issuers show up on the XRP ledger, and we can start to create liquidity pools for all of these assets, this is where it gets very exciting. Because somebody, for example, could tokenize, a stable coin, like you said. And so you could literally be paired up. You could be putting your XRP to work in all of these major currency pairings. For example, XRP versus RLUSD, obviously. XRP versus the yen. XRP versus any other currency that gets issued on the ledger. Let's take it one step further. Tokenized gold. Somebody tokenizes gold on the ledger, and we're able to put that into the AMM as well too. Right, you start to build up, a real list of products that people are going to want exposure to, and your ability to just earn passive income on providing your liquidity to said assets gets very exciting for me, as far as be your own bank, cut out all middlemen, and put my assets to work in good assets and good pools. And one part of my XRP hedge strategy is actually going into the XRP RLUSD liquidity pool when XRP gets close to topping out, and allowing the AMM to dollar cost average for me back into XRP while XRP is coming back down. Now, I had to refresh my chat so I could catch up with you guys. Thank you so much. Tony, Second Act, Stu, Legend, thank you. And everybody else that's donated tonight, thank you so much. Thank you so much. God bless you guys. Couldn't do it without your support. Meredith, I appreciate that so much. She says, I raised 7 kids on my landscape business. And that's what bothers me about some of these people. It's like, they want, it's okay if you want to make fun of me and call me a little lawn boy, you can come at me. But to disrespect other people in these fields is really disgusting. Because I can tell you personally that I've fed my family and we lived very well off of just my landscape income. When that was how I made it, we did just fine. We were very happy. Had everything we needed. And not for 1 second do I, take that for granted. What we've been able to do here, what we've been able to build. That's why we're here today, is because I was in the dirt. We didn't shy away from it. Built it up the right way, and I made a clean exit. After I worked I worked in my landscape business for the last few years while I built up my media business. And then at the end of last year, I was able to make the full and complete exit. That was 10 years. 10 years of head down, no handouts, not over leveraged at all, really just built it up on a cash basis for the most part. And that's how you build assets. You build up an asset, you sell off the asset, right? And for me, that was my education, learning sales, learning management. The only thing I really miss is, well, I miss a lot, actually. I do miss, getting out there, getting dirty. I like to build. It's a form of art for me. But the one thing that I do miss, as far as it helps me here in this, is when I was in my landscape business, I was talking to people every single day, and I got to see firsthand the state of the economy in Main Street. I got a vibe check on our Main Street economy every single day when I went to go speak with somebody, because it was my job to, line them up, basically, square them up and see, what's the situation here. Is this somebody that just wants a basic Mo package for a couple $100? Is this somebody that wants to spend $20,000 on a landscape? And basically that was a feedback loop that I was tapped into while I was at that job. I'm no longer able to access that, but I still like to, go gauge Main Street economy in other ways now. Going out and about, asking business owners how they're doing, picking up random conversations. I'm always trying to gauge and get that feedback and get that data. Because some of that data is better than any economic data that the economists are going to manipulate and feed you with their silver spoon. Now, how old am I? I'm 30 years old. 30 years old. Yeah, I'm an old man now. I'm an old man. Hammer, you want a dog tag, brother? We just got more in. Just got more in. Johnny Crypto. I see Johnny Crypto and Good Evening Crypto. These guys are trying to raid the chat right now. Johnny, how you doing? I seen the abs is coming for my night spot here. I don't know if he actually is or what, but that's okay. Zach looks like he's over 6 foot. I am. Yep, I am 6'3", coming in at about 210 right now. Maybe, 210. I've been floating between 210 and 215, really. The biggest I got was about a year or so ago. I think I got up to about almost 220. I don't think I've been able to break 220 yet. But yeah, I've been getting my workouts in. Today I did a leg day. So I'm in the final push for Vegas. Because I know we're going to be chilling poolside, having ourselves a good time, and I don't want to be, you guys are going to be making fun of me. Hammer says, don't rush. Once you break, it'll be hard to come back. Bro, that's 200 for me. I worked all my life to break 200. Lifting weights, eating all this. All it took was becoming a dad. Once I became a dad, I was able to break through 200 with no problem, and now I can hold it with no problem. But I did legs. Hey, Johnny, thank you. I couldn't remember when I was going to be on the Good Morning Crypto show. I thought it was the 16th or 17th. Yeah, 16th. I already got it marked in my calendar. I'll be there. Now, enough messing around. Let's get to the topic of tonight's discussion, which is XRP Escrow Clarity. Now, I'm going to tell you guys that I don't have a definitive answer for this, but we're about to get one. And that's why I wanted to talk about it, is because this new market structure bill is going to specifically address when cryptocurrencies are sufficiently decentralized versus when they are centralized and would be classified as a security versus when they would be completely decentralized and classified as a commodity. Part of the market structure bill addresses the definitions in the Securities Act, then it addresses the definitions in the Commodities Act, and then it addresses the new definitions and the guidance that they're going to provide. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because quickly approaching will be this market structure bill, and it's going to provide clarity as to what's going to have to happen with the XRP escrow that Ripple holds. Either they're going to have to distribute it all to get them below this 20% threshold that's mentioned in the FIT21 bill, which is now being kind of rebranded, and they're going to add and take away, and the final version might be called something else. But basically, they took the FIT21 bill, and that's what they're using to work on. And in the FIT21 bill, I'm about to show you guys, you'll see that the threshold that they share is about a 20% threshold. Now, I saw Jungle Inc. had shared this tweet the other day. And he says, big win for Ripple if passed. The FIT21 bill explicitly excludes tokens held in contractually locked or escrowed accounts from the insider's holding calculation. Under the bill's Section 102, which covers digital asset issuer disclosure obligations, a digital asset is presumed to be decentralized and not under the control of an issuer if no affiliated person holds 20% or more of the outstanding supply. But crucially, it excludes tokens that are locked in smart contracts or escrow arrangements from this calculation. Quote, the number of digital asset units owned by affiliated persons does not include digital assets that are subject to contractual restrictions, including those in escrow or subject to vesting schedules. And we commonly see this with other projects, these vesting schedules for the early investors, where basically, we're going to unlock 1 billion tokens per month, and a certain allocation is going to go to the early investors, a certain allocation is going to go to the team, a certain allocation is going to go to a DAO, a certain allocation is going to go to the stakers, on and on and on. And basically that's a vesting schedule. Similar to folks that invest in companies, right? You have a early stage investing. You might have a vesting schedule tied to that contract. Now, what they go on to say here in this bill is that anybody that has over 20% of the governance of a network or a token supply, that would be a security. Okay. But when it comes to the escrow, there's actually mixed reviews about this. I just read off the tweet here from Jungle Inc., but there's actually people that refute this. And so I asked Grok, and I just asked Grok very simply, does the FIT21 bill address escrow tokens? Here's the response that it gave me. The Financial Innovation and Technology for the 21st Act, yada, 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 does not explicitly address escrow tokens in its text based on available information. Okay. However, recent posts on X, particularly from May 5th, this is the tweets, these are the exact tweets that I just showed you, claim that FIT21 excludes tokens held in escrow or locked accounts. But there is some disagreement and no direct confirmation. So I took it one step further and I said, okay, let's go to the actual text of the FIT21 bill and go read it for ourselves. Now, this is kind of small, so let me zoom in here. Let me zoom in for you guys. You guys can see a little bit better on this setup right here. So it says right here, during the previous 12-month period, no digital asset issuer or affiliated person beneficially owned in the aggregate 20% or more of the total amount of units of such digital asset that can be created, issued, or distributed, or no, it says and. So this is not an or issue. See, here we get into the legality, right? We get into the legality of all this. And every word matters. But as this text was written for FIT21, it says nobody can own 20% or more of the total amount of units of such digital asset that can be created, issued, or distributed in such blockchain systems and were freely transferable or otherwise used or available to be used for the purposes of such blockchain systems. Now, per this definition right here, the tokens that are in escrow are not freely transferable. They cannot be used or available to be used for the purposes of such blockchain system. The XRP in escrow cannot be used and it cannot be transferred. So in a way here, Ripple already created a vesting schedule for themselves that would apply and pass this decentralization test. They passed this and did this escrow back in 2017, way before this bill was even an idea. And I think that they were really ahead of their time in doing so, because you have so many of these other projects that have these, token unlocks. And you have all of these tokens that are going to 6 different directions. And after they get released, they can be freely used. Now, while they're being held in a contract, in an escrow, and they're not freely transferable, they can't be used. And so that would not be included in any one entity's total supply. In the case of Ripple here, I'm actually going to pull up their market report here. Because I want to fact check myself here real quick. Here is Ripple's Q1 2025 market report, and I'm going to scroll on down to how much XRP they hold. I really wish that they were going to continue doing this, but they are going to sunset this. Okay, here it is right here. So here we are right here. We're down under 37 billion. At the end of March 31st, they only have 37 billion in escrow, and they only have 4 billion freely held outside of the escrow. So right now, as of March 31st, they only had 4.5% of the supply. Now you would say, well, Zach, every month $1 billion gets released. Exactly. Only $1 billion. And so if you add $1 billion to that 4.5 billion that they have, they still aren't over the 20% threshold. And there's no way for them to get more out of that escrow. It's already locked up and it only releases that 1 billion per month. So at their current level of only having, less than 5 billion XRP outside of escrow and free to be used, they are well below this threshold that would be in the FIT 21 market structure bill that's now being considered by Congress. Now, if something were to change and they clarified that tokens held in escrow would be included in that, well, in that case, that XRP would have to be distributed by Ripple if they didn't want XRP to be inherently a security, I guess. Which is really interesting to consider because XRP already got deemed to be not sold as a security in every single instance besides the sales to institutional investors. Basically, the judge said, in and of itself, XRP is not a security. Only the contracts with institutional investors were unregistered securities transactions. So the reason why I titled this episode XRP Escrow Clarity is that it appears that one way or another, we are going to have full clarity on whether or not XRP and any other asset for that matter is decentralized. We will have a new decentralized test, and really we're going to have a Ripple test because Ripple's one of the few companies that has this type of arrangement set up with their token unlocks. Now, I had seen some other crypto projects where they could actually vote and change how much was being released in the unlocks. Some projects have voted to increase the supply, right? And that's the other part of this bill that addresses the decentralization is in the governance. So you can't have more than 20% of the supply, and you can't have more than 20% of the voting or governance of the ledger as well. Now, despite what some people say that Ripple controls the XRP ledger, they actually only have one vote on the validator list that determines the governance of the XRP ledger. So not only are they well below the 20% threshold when it comes to token supply, they are well below the threshold when it comes to governance of the network. So when this market structure bill passes, if we see this type of verbiage, if we see these types of definitions laid out and codified into law, Ripple and XRP is going to be in the clear 100%. And really, they're going to be ahead of their time, like they are in many other aspects as well, in locking up this supply in the escrow. Not only does it protect them, it's going to end up, and it ends up protecting the community too, because we can rely on Ripple. They only get 1 billion per month, and they've been very transparent about what they've been doing. They've been putting out these market reports, and they probably would still be putting out these market reports if they hadn't been used against them like they were in the SEC lawsuit. The top officials at the SEC used Ripple's transparency against them. That's what Ripple gets for being the most transparent company in the cryptocurrency space. But with that being said, I really want you guys to consider, this market structure bill, this decentralization test as it applies to other cryptocurrencies that you may hold or that you may consider investing in. Ask yourself, does my token pass this test for being truly decentralized? Now, I want to open up our chat for comments and questions. How's everybody doing tonight? If you guys haven't already, please make sure you like this video. Please help us out by sharing it out far and wide. Thank you so much for stopping by here. I'm checking the chat right now. There you go. Table Rock Guy is watching the show live from hunting camp. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Your guys' commitment. Zach is Satoshi. Well, I'm not smart enough to be Satoshi. I can admit that one. When Satoshi was making Bitcoin, I was working on my 360 no scopes on Modern Warfare 2. I was working on my quick scoping skills playing Call of Duty when Satoshi was creating Bitcoin. When David was helping the NSA create Bitcoin, yeah. I was playing video games. How do I feel about meme coins? Meme coins are a trap for stupidity and liquidity. Okay? So that's how I feel about them. Meme coins trap stupidity and liquidity. The more stupid the meme is, the more liquidity comes in. Inevitably, somebody's liquidity is going to get trapped and their stupidity is going to be revealed. That's how I feel about meme coins. And that goes for even the meme coins that I do trade. I do trade meme coins from time to time. But that's the truth about them. Will XRP flip 3 digits this year? I don't see it. I'm here for it. I pray for it. We can have a big party on your guys' boat when that happens. I don't see it this year, but I do see it inevitably happening eventually. I do see $100 XRP in the future. Yes, I do. You know, it amazes me that people don't think that the Bitcoin was, some sort of government intelligence agency creation at this point. It's so obvious. I mean, we have them on record admitting, basically. Department of Homeland Security on record saying that they met with the 4 Satoshis. Yeah. When you look at Facebook and how they worked with our government, when you look at how all these other big platforms have worked with our government, Google, they're all government contractors. To me, it's very easy. And I just don't even, guys, to me, Bitcoin is just so boring. Now, the Bitcoin bros would say, well, yeah, that's good, man. That's because Bitcoin is just Bitcoin. Whatever else they would tell us. Okay, bro. To me, it's just so boring. It's just, what are we trying to do here? Dennis, my point was all ETFs will likely be approved by late June because they have to approve Grayscale by then. So they will do, yes, great point, Dennis. Great. Thank you for the chat. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. That's a great point. Yeah. I don't think that the ETFs are coming in the second half of this year. I think they're coming in Q2, which we're in right now. Right? Well, what is it? So January, February, March, April, May, June. So July would be the second half. That would be Q3. I think by July we have them. I really do. I don't think that we're waiting until October. They're not going to give Grayscale a competitive advantage. At least they didn't with the Bitcoin. They didn't with all the other ETFs. So I don't think that they would do so with. Grayscale. Okay, so yes. Randy asked, when can I end my ramen subscription? I haven't had ramen in a while. Sometimes I still eat ramen just to, have a cheat meal. Zach, Zebec and Flare price predictions this run. Yeah, so I saw that KG answered for me. Except KG, you got my prediction off on Zebec. You're right. I did say 9 to 10 cents for Flare. I think, 10-cent Flare's coming this bull run. I do believe that. Probably would already be here if they had F assets live, but that's another story. Don't get me started on my frustration with Flare. And then when it comes to Zebec, my targets are half a penny to a penny. Okay? Half a penny to a penny for Zebec. I think that Bitcoin was a hell of a trap. Yeah, somebody mentioned seized assets. Yeah, no, I think that it was a hell of a trap. They did a great job. That's all right, KJ. That's all right. How is Zebec doing right now? Let me check that guy. That little Zebec was running good. Okay, XRP right now at 214. We are on decision day for the Fed. You're looking at that Wednesday, May 7th candle has started. This is what I love about crypto. It's just 24/7. My futures contract does shut down for 1 hour every day at 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern. The futures market shuts down, and then it shuts down over the weekend too. We're at 216 on my futures. So I am up right now on my XRP long, but I placed another buy order down at 201 actually. So if they try to smack us up one more time, I got an order waiting right here, ready to snipe that one. Yeah, Zebec having a good one. Wow. I'm up 107% right now. I know some of you guys are up even more on this one. This one really took off. You know, and I was looking at, what was it? Zebec? No, was it a different one? I was trying to think. There's a crypto that I was looking at the other day, and I was thinking, man, this is a similar setup to XCN, where you had the opportunity to buy it at a fraction of a penny before it runs up to just a couple cents. And maybe, I think that was actually Zebec, now that I think about it. Yeah, Zebec, it's kind of similar to XCN. Stronghold's also kind of set up like that too. Interesting enough. Flare cooled off. It did pop up to 2 cents this week. Now it's back down to 1.8, but at least it has gained some momentum here. That's looking good for Flare. If we fully extend out my Flare on my fibs, you can see where we go. You can see where I got Flare at here. Right between the 2618 and the 3618 would be our 10-cent marker. So now, this is Flare on Bitrue, and so what you're looking at right here is the IOU price. I almost feel like this did more harm than anything because it got people to think that Flare up here at $2.20 for the IOU. Shoot. IOU $2.20 for a Flare token? Are you kidding me? Now this sucker's trading at 2 cents? Yeah. Look at that. I mean, that I completely disregard. I completely disregard that. The token went live in January of 2023. And that's when it was at really about 8 cents, 9 cents, I think is where it topped out at. And that was actually really when it got launched. Everything kind of cooling off right now at this hour. Let me check and make sure nothing's breaking. Make sure we don't have any breaking news while we're on here tonight. Okay, yeah, I'm not seeing anything breaking right now. Final comments or questions, if you guys haven't already, please make sure you like this video. Thank you. What's Lizard King talking about here? He's talking about Zebec. You talking about the Zebec riddles? Zach, are you giving odds on the arm wrestling event? What's the book on it? Who you guys got? Me or Abs in an arm wrestling match? Who do you guys got? Me or Abs? Geggles, thank you for the 15. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thoughts on biometric access wallets and survivorship access? Yeah, it's something that everybody should be considering right now. I actually have a book. I'm not sure if it's up here. No. Yeah, my book's not up there right now. It's in my closet. But I actually got a book about passing down Bitcoin to your heirs. And it's basically how to pass down any digital asset to your heirs for that matter. But I would recommend everybody get a living will and something set up as far as a succession plan, because you're going to want to make sure that your family can access it. Yeah. Definitely want to make sure that people can access that. I'm going to be honest. I think I might even lose that. Like, I hate to admit that. It's hard to do that as a man, I guess. But yeah, I actually think Abs might give me a run for his money. I've met Abs, and he's pretty stout. You know, he's not a little guy. Yeah, he could hold his own. I love the boxing, man. It's just something else. All the crypto boxing and fighting. We needed some good television like that to get us through the bear market. We needed some good entertainment to give us a laugh while all of our bags were down 50, 60, 80%. All right, guys. Hey, I appreciate everybody for stopping by tonight. I'm looking forward to XRP Las Vegas coming up this month, being able to shake all you guys' hands, give you guys some hugs, have ourselves some adult beverages in person. It's going to be a dang good time. Looking forward to that. Appreciate everybody who stopped by here tonight and supported the channel by liking this video, helping us out by sharing it out far and wide. We're going to have some more content dropping tomorrow, so be ready for that. Fed interest rate decision day tomorrow, so it's going to be a big one. Stay tuned. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell. Everything is at ZachRector.com. We got more dog tags in. More merch is on the way. Appreciate your support. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys tomorrow, okay? God bless all of you guys. Thank you.